And hello, hello, hello. I'm Chris Angel, and I have a very special guest with me today, Daxter13. Say hello, Dax.
Hello.
So, I had a very nice game against a member of the DHLC, and it was a 15-minute game, so I ran out of time. Apparently, I was doing very well, and in the final position, I had a few candidates in mind, but I didn't have a chance to play it because I ran out of time. Um, and I've asked Dexter to help me see what I could have done and how I could have carried out a plan to attack the opponent in this game. I actually had a pretty good position, and one of my candidates was, in fact, an extremely good move. But I was having trouble figuring out how I was going to implement it and get it to work. So I've asked Dexter to help me with that. And so here we go. The first move was e4, as that's my typical white opening. My opponent played c5, and I thought, oh, Sicilian! Oh! And I kept going.
You really hate the Sicilian.
I do hate the Sicilian. And I was hoping that he would play d6 so that I could Rosalimo him. But he didn't. He played e6, and I got very stuck. And I really didn't know what to do. And this is actually where a lot of my time went, unfortunately. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? And I finally thought, all right, well, I'm just going to do what they're always telling me to do, work on development. And I thought that I might want to fianchetto my bishop. So I decided to play b3. And he continued. Dexter, is this a mistake, QC7?
Not really.
It's not a mistake?
It's part of the time and the variation.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure because I'm not used to...
That's usually difficult when black plays e6. And it usually leads to kind of structure where the queen is placed on c7 and the knight on c6.
I see. Okay, I think that's exactly what he did, if I remember correctly. Yes, he did. Okay, so I'll keep going. Then I played this, c4, because I wanted to get into the, and let's see if I'm pronouncing it correctly. How do I pronounce it? Marazzi?
Yes, I think it's Maroxy-bind.
Maroxy-bind. So I decided I wanted to do that, and by doing this, my b pawn supports the c pawn, and I can bring the knight to c3 without having a pawn blocked. So I've decided I kind of like doing this. All right, so as you mentioned, he brought his knight out to c6, and I just kept developing for lack of anything better to do. And he played a6, and then I developed this bishop so that I could castle. He developed as well, and I castled. He developed again, and I fianchettoed my bishop, as was my plan. He castled, and then I played d4. And I wasn't sure if that was a very smart move or not. And I tried to look and see if it was okay to do. And I noticed, okay, c4 is defended and e4 is defended. So I think it's okay for me to go ahead and play d4. So I did, and my opponent, who was quite lovely, sent me a message. He wrote in the chat that this was a really good move, and I didn't.
Yes, it is.
I didn't know how good it was, but apparently it's good.
And the reason it's a good move is because it tries to gain space in the center, and eventually the d file can open up, which white can use for his major pieces.
Well, that's actually kind of what I was thinking when I was doing it. I thought to myself as I did it, I seem to have a lot of space over here. I'm controlling a lot of squares in the middle of the board. So that's another reason why I went ahead and did it. Plus the pawns were defended, as I said. So I thought it was okay to do. He took, and then I took with the knight. He took with the knight, and I took with the queen. And then I started to get an idea. I liked how my queen and bishop were on that same diagonal, and I started to get the idea around here, boy, I'd really like to see what I can do to get rid of that knight and have a queen and a bishop in a battery. And that's when the idea kind of started as to what I wanted to do. And then, of course, he played this, which attacks my queen, so I had to move her. Was it okay to move her to this spot?
Yes.
Okay. Then he played d6, and I decided that I was going to go about this another way. Since I was forced back, I decided that I was going to go to the G file.
I don't like his d6 that much.
You don't like the d6. Would you like to explain?
Yes, because it cuts off the bishop retreat.
Oh!
So its king side is a bit more vulnerable.
I see. It does. Yes, it does. Well, he can retreat the other way, but he's kind of blocked the bishop. Okay.
So the knight on f6 becomes vulnerable.
So this is kind of what made the knight on f6 vulnerable. Okay. All right. Right, because he can't get back there. Okay. All right. Excellent. Now I see that. So I moved over here, and I still had the plan of attacking g7.
Yes. Queen g3 is a really nice spot for the queen.
Is it? Oh, I wasn't sure. You know me, I'm not sure. But what bothered me is that the bishop was pointed right at f2. And I thought to myself, maybe I want to get over there and defend that pawn with something else. Although I've got the rook is defending and the king is defending. But I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to have the queen over here as well. And it still kind of worked out that I wanted a couple of things aimed at g7. So that's why I did it. And then he moved his queen, and I had two candidates here. One was bishop to f3, because I saw that my e-pawn was attacked twice and only defended once. So one of my candidates was bishop to f3. Would that have been okay?
Yes, that would have been okay.
It would have been okay.
After bishop f3,
Uh-oh. Hello? Oh dear, I think we lost Dexter. Drat! Drat! Hello, hello. Okay, the unfortunate thing is Dexter has really bad internet, so sometimes the calls get dropped, and so I will try to get Dexter back, and then I'll go over my other candidate, which apparently would have been a really good move. So let me see what happened. Oh dear, how do I do this? It's F3. Hello, 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 and we are back. My other candidate was knight to d5, and what worried me was that d5 is defended twice, and it's attacked 3 times, or it has 3 defenders. It has 3 defenders, and I have 2 pieces controlling that square. So I was a little concerned about that, and I wanted to make sure that it would be okay. I wasn't sure that it mattered, because I wanted to try to see if I could deflect that knight away so that I could have my bishop aimed at g7 as well as my queen. So I was really thinking, well, it might not matter if there's 3 pieces defending that square, because I just need to get that knight out of the way. So that was what I was thinking about, and then I ran out of time. So apparently the knight to f6, or excuse me, the knight to d5 is a very good move. Would you be so kind to show me why and how I could have done what I wanted to do? I think you can move the pieces. Can you move the pieces?
I think I can.
If not, I'll just adjust it again. Okay.
Well, the idea of knight d5 is to attack the knight on f6. Can you highlight that square?
Sure. How do I highlight?
Right click on the f6.
Oh, there we go. Is that good?
And it also threatens to fork the queen with knight e7 check. Can you draw an arrow to e7?
Oh. Oopsies. How do I draw it? There we go. Okay.
Just right click, hold, and drag to e7.
Okay. There we go.
So
I was not even seeing that. I saw that it was threatening the knight on f6, but I didn't even see the potential fork. And nothing is defending that spot either. So.
yes, so white has a few threats actually. One is bishop takes f6, which creates a mate threat on g7.
A mate trap on d7, because there's nothing defending the knight on f6 except the pawn, and the pawn is pinned.
Correct.
So, oh my goodness. Wow. All right. She whiz. Okay. So what could he have possibly done here?
One of the things about knight to d5 is that the e pawn is left hanging, but the e pawn can't be captured because the knight on f6 is pinned. So if knight takes e4, then we have queen takes g7, checkmate.
And that's mate? Oh, that's mate. Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yes.
So one could say that the e4 pawn is poisoned?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, so he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, so the problem is black doesn't have any way to relieve the pressure on the knight on f6. So he's forced to capture on d5.
So he's forced to capture on d5 with what piece?
With the e6 pawn.
With the e6 pawn. Okay.
Yeah, so after he takes d5, then white can play bishop takes f6.
Do I have to retake the pawn first?
No.
Oh, I can just play bishop
You can
takes.
just play bishop takes f6 because it creates a mate threat on g7.
Now, for black, the candidate that I see here is g6.
Yes, g6 seems to be the only move
Okay.
in this position.
All right. So
After g6, queen to g5,
queen to
threatening queen to f6.
Okay.
And black doesn't have any defense to prevent queen to h6, then queen to g7, checkmate.
Right. So even if he plays h6, that's not going to stop it. That's not going to get the cat out of the tree.
Yes. So I think black can try to play bishop to d4 or sacrifice some material.
Bishop to d4?
Yes.
To d4.
So,
to d4? Bishop to d... Oh, this bishop. Bishop.
Yeah. So if you try to play bishop to d4.
I can't get the bishop to d4. Oh, that d4. Jeez. I'm trying to move the other bishop. Oh, goodness. Okay.
You can't play queen to h6 because the bishop on f6 will hang.
Right. The bishop on f6 would hang. So
White be forced to capture on d4 edge, and now creates a threat of queen to f6.
So that same threat is still there.
Yes.
Really? Okay.
But now that's why black has to play f6 here.
So he has to play f6 here. Okay.
Which opens up the 7 rank for his queen, so his queen can't defend.
Okay, and also his rook is there, so I know I'm stating the obvious, but I can't take that pawn with the queen because the rook is there.
Yes.
So, okay, so
now here, white is actually better.
White is actually better.
Choose from between playing bishop takes f6 or playing queen takes d5. If white wants to simplify the game because she's up a bishop, then queen takes d5 is a good candidate.
Queen takes d5 and do a queen exchange.
Yes, because it's check. Then
oh, so it would be forced. It would be, yes, it is check. Okay.
So after queen takes d5 check, king to g7, queen takes queen. And
oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What if he takes with his queen? He can take with his queen.
Yes, he can take with the queen.
Okay.
Queen takes d5. Yes, but white is already have a really huge advantage.
White still has a huge advantage. White also is up material. And
yes.
So this would be if we want to simplify.
D6 pawn. Can you highlight the d6 pawn?
The d6 pawn.
Yes, the d6 pawn will be a problem later.
Because
black.
It is undefended, it's weak, and it's also isolated.
Yeah.
Is it backwards?
So white can just try to control the e-file and later try to attack that d6 pawn.
All right. Okay. And white also has the 2 bishop advantage on a board that's becoming kind of open.
Yep.
And I want to...
I think it would be easier for white if white exchanges the light squared bishop. So the e6 square becomes an outpost for the rooks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So white has a lot of options in this position and should be technically winning.
We're talking about me, though. All right. I think when I look at this, I think that I would want to get a rook over to e1 because it's a nice open file. And I'm not sure what else I would do in this position, except for, as you said, the d6 pawn is not defended and it's rather weak. So that was something that I was looking at as well. But all I wanted to do was show why the knight to d5 move was very strong, and so we've done that. And so thank you very much, and I will end this.
You're welcome.